Listen up, Bears Nation, because what's about to go down is gonna shake the foundation of Soldier Field. While everyone's sleeping easy thinking they already know the 2026 roster, Ryan Poles is cooking up moves that could shake the whole damn division. We're talking about a 34-year-old vet who could come in and wreck shop in the trenches for under $3 million, while our current tackle just got ranked the third worst in the entire freaking league. But that's just the beginning. A former All-Pro who once wore green and gold might be suiting up in navy and orange, reuniting with the same coach who made him a star, and doing it for half the price of keeping our current interception leader. And if you think that's wild, buckle up because there's a linebacker down in Atlanta doing everything our $15 million a year guy can't, and we could land him while saving $6 million. This isn't just about roster moves. This could be the difference between chasing a Super Bowl or staying stuck in mediocrity. Shelby Harris, the Bears' defensive line, is in crisis, and I'm not throwing that word around lightly. After what we saw this season getting gashed in key moments, watching Andrew Billings get ranked as the third worst defensive tackle in the entire NFL by Pro Football Focus, it's time to call it like it is. Billings came to Chicago in 2023 with the promise of being a solid anchor in the middle. Poles brought him in thinking he'd be that steady presence in the trenches. But you know what happened? Absolutely nothing. The guy played the full seasons and logged just 2 sacks, 2 in a city built on the legacy of the monsters of the Midway, where defense isn't just a unit, it's a religion. Having a DT who can't generate pressure is flat out unacceptable, and it's not just the sacks. Look at the tackles for loss, 11 into seasons. 11. There are linebackers who hit that in 1 year. There are edge rushers who do that in half a season. But our DT, the guy who's supposed to collapse the pocket, stuff the run, and be the heart of our line, barely managed 11 TFLs in 2 years. And the worst part, Billings wasn't even a consistent starter. Dennis Allen, our new DC who comes from New Orleans where elite defenses were the norm, didn't trust him enough to keep him on the field every down. That tells you everything you need to know, but here's where it gets interesting. This is where Ryan Poles can prove he knows how to build a winner in Chicago. Shelby Harris, 34 years old, veteran from the Cleveland Browns, and before you say he's too old, let me hit you with the numbers that matter. Over the last 2 seasons, while Billings racked up to sacks and 11 TFLs, Harris posted for sacks and 18 fulls. That's nearly double the production. And he did it as part of one of the deepest D-lines in the league. This past season, Harris played 510 snaps for the Browns at 34. And in those snaps, he generated 19 QB pressures. 19. You know how many Billings had? Not 19, but production is just part of the story. When I look at Harris, I see versatility. The guy played D before moving inside. That means he can line up all over the line. That means Dennis Allen can move him around, create confusion, use him in nickel packages, use him on 3rd and short, and let's talk awareness. 11 passes defended over the last 2 seasons. 11 for a DT. That's insane. That means he's got active hands, reads the QB, sniffs out screens, and knows when to get in the passing lane. That's instincts. That's experience. That's exactly what we need in Chicago. Add in to force fumbles in that same span. The guy doesn't just pressure and defend passes, he creates turnovers. And in a defense that led the league with 33 takeaways this year. Imagine what we could do with a guy who knows how to knock the ball loose. Now let's talk money, because I know that's what everyone's thinking about. The Bears are $5.3 million over the cap right now. Every dollar counts. Every cent has to be spent wisely. We can't afford to throw money at guys who don't produce. Spotrac projects Harris market value at $2.9 million per year. Read that again. $0.9 million, in a market where average DTs are getting $6, $7, even $8 million a year. We can get a proven vet with playoff experience, still producing at a high level for under $3 million. You get what that means. That means we can upgrade our D-line without breaking the bank. That means Poles can use the savings to address other needs. That means we can be smart with our cap while getting better. And here's the connection that seals it for me: Jim Schwartz. Harris played under Schwartz in Cleveland. Schwartz is one of the most respected DCs in the league. He knows how to use DTs. He knows how to get the most out of them, and Harris thrived in his system. Now, Dennis Allen isn't Schwartz, but he's elite in his own right. He comes from New Orleans where he built tough, aggressive lines that could stop the run and get after the QB. Imagine what Allen can do with a guy who's already thrived in a high-level system. But beyond scheme and fit, Harris brings something this defense desperately needs: leadership. The guy's been in the league since 2014. He's played for Denver, Seattle, Cleveland. He's been on winners. He's been in the playoffs. He knows what it takes to compete at the highest level. That's priceless for our young guys. Shamar Turner, our young DT, could learn so much from Harris. Watch how he prepares, how he studies film, how he reads protections. That mentorship is invaluable. Plus, Harris can still play D. Situationally, that gives Allen options. He can kick Harris outside and nickel, use him as a rush, and on third and long, create mismatches against guards who can't handle his quickness and technique. Look, I get it, 3 to 4 sounds old. I get that some of you are thinking, why bring in a vet when we could develop a young guy? But let me ask you this, how many more years are we gonna waste developing guys who never become what we need? Billings had 2 years to prove he belonged, 2 years to show he could be effective, and he failed. Meanwhile, Harris at 3 to 4 is still producing at a level Billings never reached. This isn't a tough call. This is an obvious one. And if Ryan Poles is serious about taking this team to the next level, if he understands that Caleb Williams' window is open now, then he needs to make this move. Because here's the truth, we've got a rookie QB who flashed big-time potential. We've got an offense that's going to be explosive under Ben Johnson. But if the defense can't get stops when it matters, if we can't generate pressure, if we can't stop the run in key moments, none of that matters. And it all starts in the trenches. It all starts with the D-line. If you can't win there, you can't win anywhere. That's football truth. That's Chicago truth. Think about the great Bears defenses. The 85 uni with Dan Hampton and Steve McMichael inside. The 2006 squad with Tommy Harris and Tank Johnson. They all had one thing in common: DTs who could dominate. Shelby Harris isn't Dan Hampton. I'm not saying that. But he's a massive upgrade over what we've got. And for $2.9 million, it's a risk well worth taking. Trevon Diggs, if you thought that was it, think again, because what's coming next could completely reshape our secondary and take a direct shot at our division rivals. Nahshon Wright, the guy had a breakout year in 2024. 5 picks, tied for second in the entire NFL. 11 passes defended. He became one of the hottest names in free agency. And Spotrac projects he's gonna land a 3-year, $50 million deal, $16.7 million per year. Now before you start yelling pay the man, let me remind you, the Bears are over $10 million above the salary cap, over $10 million. That means before we can sign any free agent, Poles has to make cuts, restructure deals, and create space. And when you're in that spot, when every dollar matters, can you really justify paying $16.7 million a year to a corner who, yeah, had 5 picks but also gave up 800 yards in coverage? 800 yards. That's a lot. That means while Wright has ball skills, he's also giving up separation, giving up catches, giving up yards, and in the playoffs, against elite QBs, that kills you. So here's the question Poles has to ask: do we pay Wright $16.7 per year? Or do we find a cheaper option who can give us similar production? Enter Trevon Diggs. Yeah, that Trevon Diggs, former Cowboy, cut in December, claimed by the Packers, played 2 games before the season ended, a guy who, just 3 years ago, was a first-team All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, 20 career interceptions, and now he's available for a fraction of what Wright will cost. Spotrac pegs Diggs' market value at $7.5 million per year. 7.5, that's less than half of Wright's projected deal. Let me say that again, we could get a former All-Pro with 20 career picks for less than half the cost of Wright. Now I know what you're thinking. But Diggs has been hurt. He hasn't played like he used to. Why take the risk? Valid questions. Totally fair. Diggs has had knee issues. He hasn't been the same guy since 2021 when he had 11 picks and made All-Pro. The Cowboys cut him for a reason. But let me ask you this. Who was the DB coach in Dallas when Diggs was at his best? Who worked with him from 2020 to 2024? The stretch where he racked up 20 picks, 200 for return yards, to defensive touchdowns and earned those Pro Bowl and All-Pro honors. Al Harris, our current pass game coordinator and DBS coach in Chicago, you get what that means. That means we've got the coach who knows Diggs better than anyone, who knows how to maximize his strengths, who knows how to cover up his weaknesses, who already has a relationship with him. That kind of chemistry between player and coach is real. It's not just talk. When a player trusts his coach, when he knows the system, When he knows he'll be put in position to succeed, that can be the difference between average and elite. And Al Harris did that for Diggs in Dallas, helped him become one of the most productive corners in the league, helped him develop that ball-hawking instinct, put him in spots to use his length and athleticism to dominate. Now imagine what Harris can do with Diggs in Chicago in a Dennis Allen defense. Imagine Diggs lining up opposite Jalen Johnson. With Kyler Gordon in the slot, that's a potential elite secondary. Let's be real, Diggs has given up yards in coverage. He's not perfect in man. He gambles. He gets beat underneath. That's all true. But guess what? Wright gave up 800 yards this year too. The difference is Wright's gonna cost double and doesn't have Diggs upside when healthy and in the right system. And here's the part that seals it for me. We'd be stealing him from the Packers. The damn Packers had him on their roster at the end of the season. They saw him up close. And now we can swoop in and take him. Can you imagine the satisfaction, turning a former Packer into a key contributor for the Bears? That's poetry. That's the kind of move that makes this rivalry even nastier. But it's not just about sticking it to Green Bay though. That's a sweet bonus. It's about getting a proven talent with playoff experience who knows our DB coach for a price we can actually afford. Because here's the financial reality, with the Bears over $10 million above the cap, we can't drop $16.7 million on a corner. Doesn't matter how many picks he had, the money just isn't there. But 7.5 for Diggs, that's doable. Poles can make that work with a few restructures and cuts. And if Diggs gives us even 70% of what he was in Dallas, that's a steal. Think about our secondary last year. Jalen Johnson played at a Pro Bowl level when healthy. But he and Kyler Gordon missed time. When that happens, you need depth. You need vets who can step in and keep the level high. Tyreek Stevenson is still on the roster, but we all saw the ups and downs. The guy's got talent, but he's still learning. Having a vet like Diggs in the room could help his development. And Dennis Allen's scheme, it's aggressive. It's built for DBS who go after the ball. That's exactly Diggs' style. He's a natural ball hawk. He's got that instinct. That's not something you can teach. Yeah, it's a risk. I'm not gonna lie and say it's a sure thing. Diggs has been hurt. He hasn't played his best ball lately. The Cowboys cut him. The Packers barely used him. Those are red flags. But championships are won by taking calculated risks, and with Al Harris on staff, this is the kind of risk that makes sense. We're not betting on some random guy who's never produced. We're betting on a former All-Pro who already has a connection with our coach. And if it works, if Diggs can get back even close to his 2021 form, we just landed one of the best values in free agency. A Pro Bowl level corner for half the market price. That's the kind of move smart teams make. Look at the Rams. Look at the Patriots during their dynasty. They always found vets other teams gave up on, plugged them into the right system, and got high-level production for bargain prices. That's exactly what this could be. And if it doesn't work, if Diggs can't stay healthy or doesn't play up to par, then we cut him after a year and we're out $7.5 million. That's manageable. That's not gonna sink the franchise. But the upside, it's huge. Caden Ellis, now here's the move that could really blow the roof off this fan base. This is the decision Ryan Poles has been dodging, but he can't avoid it any longer. Tremaine Edmonds for years. $62 million, signed in 2023 to be the linebacker who'd anchor this defense for the next decade. The guy who was supposed to be the brain of the unit, calling plays, locking down elite tight ends, and stepping into the shoes of legends like Urlacher and Roquan. And what have we gotten? Inconsistency, major issues in coverage, and production that just doesn't match a $15 million a year price tag. Let's look at the numbers because numbers don't lie. In 2023, Edmonds gave up 611 yards in coverage, 611 in 2024, 540 in 2025, 530. That's 3 straight years of giving up over 500 yards. You know what that means in today's NFL? It means tight ends are eating us alive. It means running backs are leaking out of the backfield and finding space all day. It means on third and medium, teams KNOW they can attack the middle of the field, and it's not just coverage. Edmonds has been hit or miss against the run, slow to diagnose plays, a step behind too often for a guy making $15 million a year. That's just not acceptable. Now here's the part that really stings. While Edmonds has been struggling in Chicago, there's a linebacker in Atlanta who's been dominating, doing exactly what we need Edmonds to do. Caden Ellis, linebacker for the Falcons. free agent in March, and the guy has been an absolute machine the last 3 seasons. Since 2023, Ellis has started every single game for Atlanta, everyone, 0 missed games, total availability. And in those 3 years, he's racked up 380 total tackles, 32 QB hits, 29 tackles for loss, 12 passes defended, and 12.5 sacks. Read those numbers again, 12.5 sacks from a linebacker, 32 QB hits, 29 TFLs. That's Pro Bowl level production, and he's done it consistently, but here's the stat that sold me completely. Look at his coverage numbers compared to Edmonds. 2023, Ellis allowed 300 for yards. Edmonds gave up 611. That's a difference of 307 yards. 2024, Ellis allowed for 193. Edmonds gave up 540. 2025, Ellis allowed 372. Edmonds gave up 530. Every single year, Ellis has been better in coverage. That's not a fluke. That's skill. That's technique. That's talent. And here's the financial play that makes this a no-brainer. If the Bears cut Edmonds before March 15th, they free up $15 million in cap space. $15 million, that's real money that can be used to improve the roster across the board. Spotrac projects Ellis will command a 3-year deal worth $26.9 million. About $9 million per year. Do the math. Cut Edmonds. Save $15 million. Sign Ellis for $9 million. That leaves us with $6 million in extra cap space. $6 million we can use to sign Shelby Harris, Trevon Diggs, or help fill other holes. That's a move that pays for itself while making the defense significantly better. That's what I call a roster management masterclass, but it's not just about the money, it's about what Ellis brings to the field that Edmonds hasn't. Ellis can cover tight ends, really cover them, in a league where guys like Kels, Kittle, and Hawkinson are tearing defenses apart. You need linebackers who can hang with them. Edmonds can't. Ellis can. Ellis can rush the passer. 12.5 sacks in 3 years from the linebacker spot is outstanding. That means he can blitz effectively, find gaps in protection, and finish plays in the backfield. Edmonds, 5 sacks in 3 years. 5. Ellis can stop the run. 29 tackles for loss in 3 years. That means he's diagnosing plays fast, getting downhill, and making stops behind the line. That's exactly what we need. And here's what really fires me up. Ellis is a true 3-down linebacker in an era where those guys are rare. He can play first down against the run, second and long in coverage, third and short on a blitz. That kind of versatility is priceless. Think about what Dennis Allen could do with a guy like that. Allen comes from New Orleans, where he always had versatile linebackers who could do it all. Demario Davis was that kind of player. Cover, blitz, stop the run. Ellis fits that mold. And let's talk mentality. Ellis has played every game the last 3 seasons. Every game. That's durability. That's dependability. That's professionalism. Meanwhile, even when Edmonds is on the field, his impact is hit or miss. Look, I get it, Edmonds was a big signing in 2023. I get that Poles invested serious money in him. I get that admitting a mistake is tough, but sometimes you've got to swallow your pride and do what's best for the team. And what's best for this team is cutting Edmonds and signing Ellis. It's that simple. Think about what this defense could look like with these changes. Shelby Harris in the middle bringing pressure. Trevon Diggs in the secondary creating turnovers. Caden Ellis at linebacker locking down tight ends and getting after the QB. That's a massive upgrade at multiple spots, and we're saving money in the process. That's smart roster building. That's what winning teams do. The Bears led the NFL with 33 takeaways this season. 33. That's incredible, but we were also ranked 22nd in pass defense, giving up to 127.2 yards per game. That tells me we've got playmakers, but we've also got holes. And one of those holes is at linebacker, where tight ends and backs are finding too much space in coverage against Edmonds. Ellis fixes that instantly. Imagine the 2026 Bears with Caleb Williams heading into year 2 more comfortable, more confident, with Ben Johnson dialing up plays, with the defense featuring Harris collapsing the pocket, Diggs taking the ball away, and Ellis locking down the middle. That's a team that can win the NFC North. That's a team that can make noise in the playoffs. But it all starts with Ryan Poles having the guts to admit the Edmonds experiment didn't work and making the move that'll take this defense to the next level. Because here's the truth, Caleb Williams' window is open now. We've got our franchise QB. We've got offensive weapons. We've got an elite play caller. But if the defense can't hold up, if we can't stop the Packers, Lions, Or Vikings when it matters, none of that will matter, and fixing the defense means making tough calls. It means cutting big contracts when the production isn't there. It means finding value in free agency. It means being smart with every cap dollar. Ellis at $9 million a year while saving 15. By cutting Edmonds, that's the kind of smart move we need to make. It's not complicated. It's not controversial. It's obvious. So there you have it, Bears family. 3 moves that could completely transform this defense and put the Chicago Bears in position to chase a championship in 2026. Shelby Harris replacing Andrew Billings on the D-line, bringing leadership, production, and versatility for just $2.9 million. A massive upgrade that saves money while making us better. Trevon Diggs potentially replacing Nashan Wright in the secondary, reuniting with Harris, stealing a player from the Packers, and giving us a Pro Bowl caliber corner for half the market price. And Caden Ellis stepping in for Tremaine Edmonds at linebacker, dramatically improving our coverage against tight ends and backs, while saving $6 million in cap space that can be used elsewhere. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 moves do you think is the most crucial for this defense to take the next step? Should the Bears prioritize fixing the D-line with Harris and finally get some consistent interior pressure? Is locking down the secondary with Diggs and having 2 elite corners more important? Or is the upgrade at linebacker with Ellis the real game changer in stopping modern offenses? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your takes. Let me know if you're on board with these moves or if you think Poles should go in a different direction. And if you think the Bears should make all 3 moves, tell me that too. Because honestly, I believe these 3 changes together could be the difference between being a wild card team and being a legit NFC contender. But beyond just player opinions, I want you to understand something. We're a family here. This isn't just a YouTube comment section. This is a community of Bears fans who live and breathe navy and orange, who suffer together when we lose and celebrate together when we win. And part of being family is staying informed. It's understanding what's happening with our team. It's having smart conversations about the roster, the cap, and front office decisions, because when we understand these things, when we can analyze and debate, we become better fans. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button right now, because I promise you we've got more explosive Bears news coming tomorrow. We'll be here every day this off-season, bringing you deep analysis, breaking news, and the conversations you need to hear. And turn on those notifications, because when Ryan Poles makes a move, when he signs a free agent, when he pulls off a trade, you're gonna want to be the first to know. You're gonna want to hear the breakdown. You're gonna want to be part of the conversation. Smash that like button if you want to see the Bears make these moves. If you think Harris, Diggs, and Ellis should be top priorities in free agency, hit like. If you think it's time for Poles to admit Edmonds didn't work and move on, hit like. If you believe this is finally our time to compete in the NFC North, hit that like button, because this is more than football. This is Chicago. This is who we are. The Bears aren't just a team, they're a way of life. They're Monday morning convos at work. They're Sundays with the family. They're years of hope, frustration, excitement, and passion. And after years of mediocrity, after years of watching the Packers run the division, after years of questionable front office decisions, we finally have a front office that seems to get it. Ryan Poles has made smart moves. He's built through the draft. He's been disciplined with the cap. He brought in Ben Johnson to run the offense. He's put Caleb Williams in position to succeed. Now he needs to finish the job on defense. He needs to make the moves we talked about today. He needs to give Dennis Allen the tools to build an elite unit. Because when you've got a franchise QB, an elite play caller, and offensive weapons, the only thing standing between you and a championship is the defense. And with these 3 moves, Harris, Diggs, and Ellis, we can have a defense that's not just good, but dominant. So stick with us. Family, stay subscribed, stay active in the comments, because this is your year. This is the year everything changes. This is the year the Chicago Bears finally get back to where they belong, at the top of the NFC North. Chasing championships. Bear down, Chicago. I'll see you in the next video.